and to feed it. And that's the whole idea of a gill, you know. You want to attract, say you have a snail problem, and so to get rid of snails, okay, you can use ducks, but you can use bobtail lizards too. Up in the hills we have bobtail lizards. Well, what do I need to attract bobtail lizards? Well, probably a little source of water. I need some rocks and some logs. And if you provide those things, you'll get the insects being and pests being controlled by lizards and other things like that, because you're providing that guild, that association. We need to look at resources. Obviously, if you've got a property and you've got some fantastic gravel, well, then you can use that to make a rammed earth home. But if you're up in the hills and you've got clay, then you can make mud bricks. You just have to know, you know, what percentage of gravel and clay you need to make the various components. Or if you've got a paddock and every year you put a crop in and you've got the hay, you can make a hay bale house, you know. So looking at natural resources around the district, stones, whatever it might be, to make it productive. And so we're not spending a lot of money and energy importing and bringing in from other countries too, food, which seems silly. Permaculture is about biodiversity and being productive. Now, if you think about an ecosystem I mentioned earlier, we mirror natural ecosystems, and if you ask yourself, what's the most probably productive ecosystems in the world, and you'd say things like the Great Barrier Reef, you know, coral reefs are very productive. Mangroves, productive, okay, rainforest. So imagine trying to have a garden in the backyard that was a food forest of, you know, having various layers of things. So there's something like 7 layers in the forest. So you've got things that are in the ground, you've got ground covers, you've got small shrubs, then you've got other types of herbs, then you've got small trees, then you've got large trees, and climax species, and then you've got vines. And there's all these different layers compact together, and that's how we want to build our gardens, really, to be productive and so forth. So we use all those kind of principles to make productive ecosystems like a rainforest, like a coral reef. And those things are really the junctions where different ecosystems meet. So we try to have a thing called edge, where we try to make productive gardens because we have edges. So if I'm thinking of even the rainforest in Australia, the rainforest that we don't have here, of course, but in the eastern states, is really the junction between the ocean and the land, but on the land side. And the coral reef is the junction in the ocean and the land on the seaside. So the most productive ecosystems are with edges, where different ecosystems meet and there's all interaction. Imagine having garden beds like that, and how productive it could be. And that's what permaculture is about. And of course, number 6, designing for catastrophe. We've seen enough storms and tornadoes and floods and stuff to understand that you really need to think about, and drought, to think about designing so that we become resilient to these things. And the big focus will be resilience for a community in the years to come. Just a few things, some examples, just that I show some school stuff. A lot of schools are here today and a lot of kids running around of what is occurring. I know that Mundaring Primary has a really good setup as well, and there's other garden beds in some of the hills schools. This is something we did a few years ago down Mount Claremont. And the whole lot, and Parkerville as well has had some gardens, got pre-primary there. Just, you know, getting kids to learn where food comes from and so forth, which I think is very important. And kids go home and do things at home, which is great. But the whole thing I mentioned earlier is a design, is to, you know, plan, think about where things go. Does it really matter if I put the lemon tree here, or does the lemon tree have to go only here? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But you want to be able to carefully think where things go. So, you know, when I was young growing up, and we had chooks and veggie gardens in Bassendean, I would be marching down this way to get the veggies, and then I'd go back and I'll march this way to go to get the eggs. Well, in a permaculture sense, you go to the veggies, get the fallen stuff, go to the chooks, give them the rubbish, pick up the eggs and go back again. And so it's carefully thinking where things go to be less effort from you and more sensible design. So when you, in your head, you're thinking chooks have to be on the back fence, why don't we bring a little bit closer, you know what I mean, to the house, you know, that kind of idea. If you're going to have an orchard. We don't visit very often. Yeah, that can go down the back fence. But things that you pick every day for your meals want to go outside the back door. So that's the whole idea of design, where things go. It's good seeing kids working and getting their hands dirty. Just an example of a little thing we did where you can see what we started with, and then of course the greywater in, so all the lawn was, an orchard was put in with greywater, which has made sense. And then finally you can see that you can be very productive and water-wise at the same time grow food just by recycling water and so forth, and putting in water-wise lawns or using mulch and soil amendments and that kind of stuff to make it productive. I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about community gardens, because there's a lot of interest about community gardens, and just to show a few examples. Again, a design that was done for a garden, which was basically implemented, changed a little bit, but there was something, a working concept was put in place for the community. They've got all these kind of garden beds there and so forth. I think they charge $115 a year if you want a garden bed. I think it's probably the most expensive one in WA. And they've got a waiting list of people who want to have a community garden, a plot. And the thing I've found about community gardens is it's not so much the plot. I mean, everywhere on the hills has lots of land. You don't need a community garden to grow food. But the thing that they have in a community garden is the community, is the people. People go not to grow the food, they go for the community. They go for the fellowship of the companions, the talking neighbours, all that stuff that seems to be lost a little bit when we put fencing up and we don't know our neighbours. So community gardens taking off throughout the world, certainly in WA. I think there's something like 45 active community gardens that are springing up all the time. Many which are being supported by councils as well. So a few of those, all their little plots. City farms, another one's getting into the makeover. It's not really so much a community garden, but people can volunteer and work there, and they do a lot of work with unemployed people and youth and schools go there. But it's a very good example of, they've got solar panels, they grow their own food for the restaurant, they've got all the gear there, they've got, a greywater system as well, education things, worm farms, compost. You can learn those kind of things. And they've got a nursery, you can buy plants, so there's lots of good things there at City Farm. Buston's probably the biggest one I've seen in WA. If you get a chance to Buston's in town in the river there somewhere. I think their fees were $50, $60 a plot. But they've got rabbits and guinea pigs and windmills, and they've got a children's play area, and they've got a pizza oven, and people go. Again, waiting lists. They've got about 80 plots there, 80, and they've got a waiting list of people trying to buy a plot, lease a plot for a year. Some more at still Buston. Discovered this one only recently, Northam. Just saw something in the Hills Gazette, had a photo of a community garden, mentioned the name, nothing about it. So I found out that there's a church group that started, and this is on private land next to the church. And again, just starting off small, putting a few things in, but without the support of the Shire. Although the Shire did donate some money, I believe, and got some grants and stuff from some rural scheme. But there is money available for community gardens. And there's a good example of another one starting up with church donations in this case. Some of the community gardens are supported by the Shire and Shire land, some are on private land, and some are owned by businesses that people have. And I did mention earlier, for those coming a bit late, if any of you live in Mundaring and wish to take part in a survey, take 5 minutes when we finish here, 5 minutes of your time. There's a couple of tick boxes sheets here, because my group of students are looking at writing a proposal for community gardens in the Shire of Mundaring. And there is one group in Glen Forest that are very keen to get their plot. A bit about my old place and my current place when I was a lot younger and had black hair. All right, anybody want to ask any questions about permaculture or anything of that they want to clarify? I'm here just for a little time just to talk about it. This is your chance. Ready? Go. Well, if you're too embarrassed, yes.
I was just wondering, for those of us who are completely ignorant, is
Yes.
there a good book or a good...
I've written lots.
There you are.
Yeah. Look, you can get books through the local libraries, request them in. There's a book that I wrote called Getting Started in Permaculture. It was based on a property in Hobia, not too far away, and it has all how to do it things, how to make compost, how to make herb sprays, how to do sheet mulching, raise garden beds, earthworm farming. Nice little book. If you're more serious, there's a book called The Basics of Permaculture Design that shows you how to do design, how to do scale drawings and design, and all the ideas about harvesting water. There's a chapter about permaculture in schools in there, and it's based on my work about what actually works. So it's from that practical experience. And there's a few other books that I'm involved with to do about some reference books, Permaculture Volume 2, etc., which are basically all of little fact sheets, if you like, about vegetables or animals, that kind of stuff. But again, I do have websites, you can get things. If you want to grab some brochures about things that I do, including something about permaculture out here, and my website stuff, you can grab them. There are some DVDs I've made about energy efficient housing. If you're going to build a passive solar design home, I think it costs about 20 bucks. And there's one about renewable systems. You're looking at solar panels, wind generators, using water. I made a DVD about that as well. So all those things are available and you can buy them easily, and I've got information here if you want to grab it. Or if you would like to help with a survey for 5 minutes, I'd appreciate it. Thanks very much. I'll just stay here for a little while if you want to come and ask questions or correct things. Thank you.